Hello everyone, welcome into yet another live stream, and this takes such a long time to render. My goodness, I didn't think about that part when I was setting this whole animation up, and I should have. Sometimes I think, but then I forget. So hold on, let me just really quickly. There we go. There we go. I guess there's a way in which I could make this automatic now I think about it, because I could just create a bounding box on each line. Just realize create the bounding box on each line and then just create a node that based on two vertices would then create a box. But no, this seems a bit simpler. There we go. Digs you up like a humble truffle hog. What is that supposed to mean? What is that supposed to mean? Hold on. Okay. Don't mind me, I'm just going to again work on the same thing I've been working on for however long. See, right. This also has to be open to assembly. There we have it. See, the different players have got modules. There's the 8-bit long variable, and we create two of them. The first one equal the number we like the factor of, in this case 5, which means what we need to do is we need to allocate an entire line, because that's 8 bytes, and then we need to set the entire line to be a 5. You truffle very precious. Pretty real, pretty accurate Easter egg for a fair. Whoa, buy me dinner first, maybe something. My goodness, wow. I mean, if you and my brother was attending design college, can use my GPU to do homework. A VM? Like a virtual machine VM, or? Hi, by the way. Hold on, let me think for a second, because if we do store named attribute and then I just hope that if we do store named attribute equal, no, that isn't working, is it? Oh my goodness, holy crap, it is working. Oh, that is good, that's really good. That is really, really good, because okay, no, this is good. This is really good. This is really, really good, in fact. That's because we repeat it over and over, which means we can do switch. And those are the two versions of the switch. This one will be... It's lagging quite a fair bit. I'm certain it has nothing to do with the fact that I am looping over a loop. There we go. Are you calling make it an egg? I don't know that. I don't know that term, actually. Is it like someone being in a closet, except for trans? Is that what an egg means? I have 2 GPUs, a VM as in virtual machine. Oh, I see. It's quite clever then. They didn't realize, haven't hatched yet. Oh, okay. Hold on, I need more coffee for this. I can't with you. The stream has just begun and y'all are already calling me like not ready to be trans yet, which is honestly mean. Alright. Right here. Oh, but we don't want it to be a switch, do we? No, we do want it to be a switch. Yeah, we'll animate it differently. Which means that math compare and then add, and then compare. Compare this to be 128. No, not quite compare. Well, no, yes, compare. Is that the epsilon, right, in the middle. So, if we do this, then the first one should become pink. No, this one becomes pink. Why is this one? Oh my goodness, that is awful. He isn't ready. I'm not ready to be trans yet. 3.5. Okay, good. Now to the 3.5 we want to add in 8 amount of times, right? Should be second line. Perfect. Which means if we do 27, yeah, this seems pretty good. And then a 4, and then a 27.5 plus 8 times 5, because why not? There we go. Those will be our two numbers. Three years away from ready and always will be. I don't know that reference. I do not know that reference. I feel heartbroken. Speaking of, by the way, well, not speaking of, but just in general, let me play some music because this is feeling awfully dry. Awfully dry. There we go. So, now because we want it to be a tad more visible, what we could do is we could check for saturation of the color. And then based on the saturation, we could plug it in as an addition to the brightness, which would then... I really hope I switch these to be the clever way of doing it. There are two whites, my goodness, that's confusing. Okay, I nailed it. Which means hue, saturation, value. Wasn't there a way to extract it as well? Separate color, there we go. I knew there was a way. Like this. I would say that's rather lovely. Now what? Well, now what we want is we want some kind of text on the side would be ideal. That tells us which variable is which. Where the top one will be a number, the bottom will be a result. Using a long is kind of an overkill, but whatever. Nuclear fusion is in 40 years away and always will be, which I disagree with. Wait, but where is that from? Also, it's not really nuclear fusion, it was cold fusion, wasn't it? If I'm not mistaken. Unless I am. Common nuclear engineer saying. Oh. I haven't really heard of it. Can you make a video teaching basic C? That's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm just teaching basics of C. I'm pretty sure they were more pessimistic said about fusion in general, but we can already do fusion. it's if I'm not mistaken, it was the hyperspecific cold fusion that yields more energy than it takes in, right? Because fusion we can already do. That's something we were quite capable of. We're smashing. We can generate elementary particles. Fusion is a bit easier than that. To make a commercial, yeah. Number results. Pop in number over here, pop in result over here. Okay, that should be simple. Should be simple-ish. Because if we do string and then string to curves, no wait, that's wrong. Fill, then extrude, and then plug in right here, then store named attribute, set material white. Perfect. Don't really need this, we can just do this. Actually, in this case, it being to the right would be even more convenient. I really wish I could plug this in somewhere. Switch to live chat. I already did. At the very beginning of the stream. Yeah. No need to tell me twice. There's a nuclear takes building at tiny scales. I haven't been keeping the news, to be honest, about this. We might need to amend this a bit later on, but that's fine, because transform geometry. And then we can just make it smaller. If you don't respond to me saying the first time, just assume that YouTube ate my comment because you were in live chat. Oh no, I just didn't respond to it because I didn't want to make a fool of you by telling you that I already did. Instead, I prefer to ignore it, like let the show go on, but since you persisted. My graphics card is really struggling. Number could have to do with something with the fact that I'm already rendering in the background. I'm certain that's not related. No, it's not the graphics card. Take it back. It's probably my RAM, possibly CPU. There we go. This is proper, then this has to go a bit higher up. This has to go a bit lower down. And then both of them have to go to the left. There we go. I actually hate it when YouTube read my comments. I'm not joking. It is annoying. Now imagine it from another perspective. You know what's especially annoying? There are a certain... Okay, this is a very, very me core kind of thing to be annoyed at. But I think you all will be able to relate once I explain to you. Basically, as a streamer, or at least not relate but understand. As a streamer, there is a lot of things, a lot of like really simple misconceptions that are easy to clear up. Or like simple misunderstandings. However, because they require a little bit of pre-existing knowledge, I need to clear them up every single time. So for example, whenever someone joins in and drops a link, that comment gets deleted because YouTube doesn't allow links. However, you don't know about that unless you know how YouTube chats work. And so every now and then someone joins in on YouTube, starts a conversation, then sends a link with a message probably explaining what that link is for, and then they get annoyed that I don't respond to that. But like, I can't respond to that because I didn't see the comment. And then every single time I need to pick it up from the context alone that they've sent a message with a link, and then explain to them that messages with links don't work on YouTube. And there is no fixing this. There is really no fixing this. Or like how whenever Perry is printing anything, right? Everyone always assumes it's my computer just running really loudly, and every single time I need to explain that, no, it's actually my 3D printer. There is no... I need to re-explain the same thing over and over and over again because it just requires a little bit of background knowledge that is unobtainable. Oh, I almost spilled my coffee. Oh, I did spill my coffee. Damn it. Unfortunate. At least remove it on the screen too. Exactly! That's what I'm saying. I don't get it. And nukes don't make things dangerously radioactive in the long term. That's quite an interesting thing to say. I do. Hey, say what you want about nukes, they don't make things radioactive. What an odd thing to point out. Person named you out of cats, you know. You have cats. What do you mean? Assuming makes an out of you and me, Timon. No. Why am I rendering two things at the same time? That's inefficient. You can't see it, but it takes 2 minutes per frame on this one. Can I talk about Nazi and see if YouTube deleted it? I think they deleted any messages related to that, actually. Which is especially annoying since I use Nazis a lot in my hyperboles, because it's easy target. Yeah. It's pronounced Yahtzee. Nothing, just changed their name. Timon, I'm aware, I fucking picked that name. Let's see, there we go. Oh, never mind, didn't delete that. Well, but to be fair, those are just 4 letters. The pickle here is that on one hand, it's really annoying the way YouTube deletes comments, but on the other hand, I don't want to turn off that feature, even if there is a way to turn it off, because I don't want to throw out the cat with the bathwater, you know? The thing is, YouTube deleting the messages is still really useful, simply because, for example, I've never, and I mean it, never, not once, in all of my over 1,000 live streams at this point, child checkups or otherwise, never seen anyone say the N-word on YouTube chat. Never. And I like that. That's convenient to have, you know? Is it still there? It's still there. But that's, as I mentioned, that's convenient to have. I don't want to throw it out. No, my point is that you can't send it because YouTube will delete the message. That's my point. And I like that. I don't want to deal with... I don't want people to join in and start... I don't even know. I don't want absolute horribleness in chat, you know? I would like to have a good day. I would like everyone to have a good day. Don't want to deal with this. So I guess this is just the very sensitive topic of content moderation. One thing which we could actually get to work on, which is one of the projects I need to do, will be a coding project. That's what we could work on a bit on the stream, simply because there are so many things that we'll be waiting for Blender to render. The Blender render. Is there a way to turn on... Hold on. Blender noise after... I think that was a feature, but I don't know if I'm schizophrenically hallucinating or not. Render is finished. I am... Sound, I suppose that would be more descriptive. I'm not quite certain if I'm hallucinating right now or if... Oh, callbacks, how convenient. That's so dumb though, you know what, I'm all for it. But to be fair, that's a bit more specific question about Python. Add-on render music. 2.64, well, I am a couple of versions ahead of that, but... Learning problems because I need help. I'm here for another hour. Weston, what a coincidence. 2 PCs ago, my graphics card was a 1660 and I was doing Blender on it. I'm certain it can work with the modern version as well. What's funny is how whenever I update my graphics cards, I always go in the same line. My first, in the chain of the 3 PCs, right? My first one was 1660, second one was 3060, and the third one right now is 5060. I always go basically 2 generations. I'm still using a 1660. Still using. I would really suggest updating simply because we're past the point of when graphics cards are crazy expensive. They've gotten cheaper recently. Especially if you're not buying the 50s, only buying like 40s, then those are completely fine and way more affordable. I need to click off the stream results. Hi. Are we gonna have 5080 or 5070 Ti? Both of those cards are direct upgrade of mine. Those get quite expensive. Hi, make it. Your answer is greed. My answer for what? Wait, what was the question? Wait, isn't it free? Do you have to pay for it? It's free. That's why it's so amazing. The stream title. What did I even name the stream? If CISO agree, oh, why they make? Okay, I forgot for a second. Well, yeah, okay. The big green code button above and choose download zip. I do have to say, it would be quite convenient for me to have a sound play after it's finished rendering. It would be quite useful for these streams. Hold on, let me just...
Hi there.
Hi. Preferences, add-ons. Can you... Didn't they change the way that add-ons can be downloaded? Oh, install from disk. That's convenient. What was the name of it? It was Render Chime. Yeah. Sound file path. So now we need some kind of sound. My file explorer is lagging, which is pretty bad on Windows, considering how on Windows file explorer is responsible for like 90% of processes. Okay, what do we have? We have blip. We need something... Imagine using Windows. I don't have to imagine. That's terrible. Okay, we need some kind of sound effect to... Maybe this. There we go. Perfect, I found it. Give me a second, I need to log into Production Crate to obtain that lovely sound effect. Do you want him to use Linux? Oh, the reason why I'm setting up this sound effect for my renders is actually comically related to this conversation. Because the entire reason why... Oh, you'll see in a second. I think that was Kazoo 5, right? There we go, perfect. I hope that this will work. I don't know if it will, but I hope that it will. We still need to wait for this to render. Anyway. Yes, use Linux. Oh, yeah, on it, mate. Let me just open up my Ubuntu. There we go. See? Now it's time to just go ahead and use some Linux. Okay. So. Right. Oh my goodness, where even am I? I am nowhere. That's great. Hold on. I don't remember how to use this. I have Docker. Oh, how old is this? Wasn't there some kind of shared CD mount? Oh, CD mount. Thank goodness I am good at this. CD C, then not documents and settings, not desktop users. I don't remember. Desktop projects. Right, we got there in the end. Do you have Android and you're already using it? No, I'm actually using a Windows phone. Okay, now what? Well, now actually we will need to make a new folder, and that will have to be our mkt lib. It's lib stands for liberal, by the way. Mkt link, actually. Not base level, mpt link. I'm not gonna start it as a GitHub repository just yet. But there we go. Now, by the way, do I has on Linux? I do has. How convenient. That's great because that means we can code on Windows and compile and test on Linux, which I find hilarious. Okay, I hope the kazoo will work when, well, not this render because I'm reinstalled for this render, but when the other one finishes. I hope it does. Alright, so the point of what I want to do is, I attend on Blender instead of Firefox because of muscle memory, is something that I have done in the past twice. However, RMRF. Oh yeah, right, to remove the French language. Thank you, Betsek, thank you. I almost forgot. It's something I've done in the past twice, and that's because, well, not for any reason, but I'll just have to do it again. So, make it. What is thy favorite streaming service? YouTube, Netflix, or YouTube is the best. Anyway, dynamic loading, dynamic linking in C Linux. I don't remember how it's done.
What's wrong with the Finnish language? Come on, that's a cool one.
You wouldn't understand.
One of the very few base languages.
You wouldn't understand.
And then explain to me.
The RMFR was the ways it would normally be done. RMFR slash is like a joke in the Linux community that when you basically get Linux installed, right? Then what you want to do is you want to... I've explained to you actually how flags work, so that will make this a bit easier. Which means that when you get a new installation, then you always want to run rm, which stands for remove, and then fr slash to remove the French language to make it, you know. But FR, what it actually stands for is forced recursively. And the slash, and like on Windows, the way that file systems work is that you have like the C drive, you have the D drive, you have the E drive, you just have the drives. On Linux, however, it works differently. On Linux, you have a root with like a whole file system, and then one part of that file system is the mount, where you have the drives. And so on Linux, if you run this command, then this just goes to the root and removes everything recursively and is forcing it, which means it won't like stop to ask you if you are certain that you want to do it, which basically means that this command just deletes your entire Linux. Which, by the way, you can do on Linux because it's fucking Linux. And the Finnish one, I don't remember what the Finnish one did, but there's like a bunch of those, like, it's basically the Linux, on Windows, you have Alt F4 to unmute yourself or whatever. On Linux, it deletes the entire... What's even funnier, that's like the reasons why people love Linux, because Linux just fucking assumes that you are smart and like trusts the person in charge that they know what they're doing. And that's what... For example, a while back ago, with a friend, we've made like a really simple program in Python where it was Russian roulette. It picks a random number between 1 and 6, and if it lands on a 1, then it just deletes your entire operating system. And we tested it on a virtual machine and it did work, which was hilarious. And so that's like the reason why people prefer Linux over Windows. Like on Windows, for example, if you put a dot behind the file, then the file, if I remember correctly, will become invisible. And you need to actually specifically turn it on in the options. On Windows, it's always assumed that Windows knows better than a casual user, which I would say is not wrong. For most people, they don't understand how computers work, so I get it. On Linux, however, it's made for like 4 people who understand computers, and as such, they just always assume that the person in charge knows what they're doing. That's a quick tangent. Code one block right. Position independent code. The W all option isn't necessary. It has nothing to do with how the code is compiling. That's good. If you run a command that shows an error, it doesn't delete everything. It is dangerous to operate recursively on slash. Use no preserve root to override the failsafe. I mean, yeah, I know. But still, the point is, you can do it in a way. Shape library libmath so, that's the one we're looking for. Wait, can't we just directly compile it into a shared library? Yeah, and then you just include my math to create a link to it. Okay. Is Perry good? Perry's chillin'. Perry is chillin' and on holiday right now because I'm not printing anything. Okay, so here's what we would like to do today. It will be something that it's like arguably my favorite thing to do in C. However, it's been a really long time since I've done it because it's a really long time since I've done anything serious computer science related, which is dynamic linking with as little information as possible. So basically, we're gonna have some kind of file, lib.so, and then we're going to link it to our main.bin. I forgot how to write a B for a second. Main.bin, And ideally, we like to do so with as little information, as little pre-compiled information about lib as possible. That's the challenge. That's what we want. And that will be like the MKT link protocol. It will be just basically a way for us to dynamically achieve dynamic linking, if that makes sense. This is really computer science heavy, by the way. All the times you all have seen me program and code and so on and so forth, that was just for laughs. This is the first actual, like, all the times you've seen me code and program, that was basically the equivalent of solving an integral. This is the actual, like, mathematics in this case. Jesse, we must print. Jesse is funnier. Yeah, but Jesse doesn't have a P. That's ridiculous. Where's Jesse? Why Jesse? This isn't linking dynamically. Couldn't help but notice. I want love videos. Thank you, VG. Thank you. I want pure dynamic linking. What I could also do... what I could also do is I could just cheat from my past self. That's because right here in the source there was mktdll, and right there this is Windows, and this is Windows, this is Linux. So the way it does it is, what's a bin file? That's just executable on Linux if you feel the need to add the extension. I love my past self. In theory, hard coding this is a bad idea. In practice, realloc shenanigans would just slow it down. Just hard code the buffer limit to 100. Why not? Who cares? Who's got the time to worry? Schmodules as well. File schmodules. I am amazing at naming things, truly. Okay, so load shared object. How does it work? How am I loading an SO? So right here I'm generating like the file name, and then DL open. Okay, Linux cdl open. Allow me to read the manual. Perry, we must print Perry is not as funny. Yeah, but you know, it at least starts with a P. Sacrifices. Okay. What was dynamic shared objects? So, all right. First, let's create like a simple. Are you using Ubuntu and Windows at the same time? I am multitasking. Let's create a simple test. How about that? So here's how we'll do it. We will create a simple file. We'll call it test.c, and that test will be int test, which will take in, as I mentioned, ideally we'd like to do it with as little information as possible, which will be a challenge, but I'm certain we'll manage. Int test. And into that test we'll put, let's do int A, int B, return A plus B, why not? This will be our test. Just I've had 34 oil leaks, 35 shots fired at me, and 46 maintenance walks in my lifetime. You need to move to a safer neighborhood. That's honestly ridiculous. Okay, this will be our test, which means GCC shared test out. You are joshing me. Did I compile it incorrectly? Hold on, no, that's the wrong GitHub. This one, there we go. Betseg, now is your time to shine. How do you compile into a shared object on Linux? If you don't mind answering, is being a YouTuber your full-time? Yes, it is my full-time job, in fact. Since like half a year at this point. Wow, it's been quite a while. I have my name. No, I was asking you how to compile into a shared object, but I think I've already got it. Always remember, kids, paste things without thinking into the command line. Nothing bad can happen when you do. Test.so. Now, I think that's a shared object. We'll see. Position independent makes sense. With that in mind, what we would like to do now is create a source file that would be our main.c, where all we will want to do is, we're gonna complicate it as we go on, but for now I would like to start simple. This is the boilerplate. Return 0, and then right here we're going to have print. What's the function called? Test. Okay. Test 5 and 6. I hope this will function well. Please work on the first try. Undefined reference test. It's X10. What do you mean? Oh my goodness, I specifically said that was an X10 for a reason. It's X10, just leave it there, leave it be. The existing identifier, yeah, just trust me, I'm gonna link it in time. Just let it do its thing. Oh, it might not. Oh, wait, no, I didn't add a method for linking it, so I guess I cannot link it. But trust me, just leave it there. It'll be fine. Undefined reference to test. This is the test. Oh, why can't I just leave it as extern? That's a good question. So right away, first hiccup is that what I basically want to do here is I want to leave a blank. Title, if Make It So Smart, why doesn't have his own operating system? take that, liberal. Take that, liberal. Huh? Take that, liberal. Okay, well, to be fair, it's not really an operating system, but close enough. Okay, right here, our goal. So, allow me to describe to you the problem that we're having. Basically, inside of a program, I think you shouldn't have extend. Means definition is not a C file. We'll use not GC step. I know why it's erroring. I'm just trying to describe the problem, then fix it. The problem we're having right now, basically, is that we have our main function, correct? Now, we have our main. Inside of our main, we want to run another function that will be the test. This is the function we want to run. Now, the way it's run is that basically the program takes the point to a function and based on that is able to run it. In our program, what we did is we created a blank box that lets the compiler know that we want eventually a function to end up there, but we never bothered to fill in this box. And as such, that confuses the compiler because, well, we're trying to run a function that doesn't exist. I believe extend does literally nothing on functions. Oh no, it does things. In the past, I've done it. Trust me. Trust me, you can use it. You don't know the half of what's possible once you abolish all morality. The thing is, I would like to take it slow. I don't want to take it too aggressively because I know of one way to do it. Maybe I should show where I want to end up with this. Maybe that would help actually. Where I want to end up with this is something like, I don't know why it's inside of Vulkan, del Q. This is basically what I want to end up with, which is a way for us to access functions without any precompiled types involved. This is this right here is a really old file of mine, but it was my own method for running a sequence of functions without knowing what types they return, without knowing what types they take, without knowing anything about them. And that's basically what I would like to achieve, except this time for this. But I don't want to go to function pointers just yet. Take it slow instead. Dynamically loading a function. Because the way it's done right here is that it's done with, you compile it to an object file. This is the problem. Wait, I'm sorry. Happens during runtime. That is not what I want. I hate that technicality. Well, it's not really technicality, but in my head it's technicality. I still consider this static linking. We cannot see the command you run. Oh yeah, right, because there is a massive gap in the way. Well, I mean, no, this is just the first one. The second one is just this. I'm just compiling it. I could look for a flag. I guess that lets me pass this issue, but I don't want to because that's a very cheap, short-sighted way to do it. Hi, Dorothy.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, this won't really help us. Let's go right away to the deal open. I have a question. Isn't setting this extern equivalent to a header file? I'm pretty certain. Test int A, int B. But one can never be absolutely certain, so let's try it. Yes, it is equivalent. Good, that's good. That's good news, because now we can try the deal open. Okay. This is what we need. Do that, make it. Do what?
I heard do that.
File name int flags. It's too good to be true. This is way too good to be true. That's because test. Can I not set test equal? This is really dumb. I posted a command. Did YouTube eat it? Yes, YouTube did in fact eat it. Ah, this is not going to work. Way too good to be true. Way too good to be true. Especially the part where I set the function pointer. I mean, technically, okay, not entirely wrong. Oh wait, void pointer handle, so test. There we go. The flags, I guess I should. If gender equality people come and tell you to change your name to Mac Dem, will you do it? The gender equality people. Yeah, we here at Make It hate gender equality. We think things should be unequal for the genders, but not in any serious way when anyone gets advantage. No, just in an arbitrary way. So, for example, I don't know. I think that men should be allowed to drive bikes, not cars. Women can drive cars, but only trucks. Gender fluid people can drive cars. I just want, like, in a very arbitrary way, extreme gender inequality.
I mean, we already have that. Like, for example, women are allowed to wear skirts, men are not. Like, we already have that. Make it. We already have.
But
that.
I know I needed to more of an extreme. I needed to go crazy, you know. Deal open. Oh my goodness! I myself in my own program I've used the flag. I didn't even register that. Pun intended. What flag did I use? I'm gonna. I feel like a member of Cult Mechanicum, just, you know, reading back ancient law. I feel like just a priest of Cult Mechanicum, a mech priest. Oh wait, where is it? There we go. RTLD now. What is this flag? If this is specified the environment variable. No string. All undefined symbols in the shared object are resolved before deal open returns. Make it, is it okay if I post the command YouTube 8 in Discord? Yeah, sure, go for it.
Like, Betsy always joins, drops the link or comment or something for you, and then leaves. And everyone, well, not everyone, but there are a lot of people who believe that they're a scammer.
Betsec, you... Betsec, add 2. Add 2. Add 2, Betsec. Add 2. I'm not mad, I'm not disappointed, I'm just upset. Okay, would this work? Are you fine with too few arguments in DL open? That makes sense. You want a flag. There, have a flag. L value required as left operand of assignment. Well, that's a fun error. that's a fun kind of error. When you try to assign the value to something that cannot hold the value. Right. Oh shit. Fuck. I mean, so not this. Instead, oh, we need to go to function pointers right away. I just have painted my name and also do this thing, and that's how you do this thing. That is not how I do the thing I want to. I consider that's still in my, to me, that is still static linking. I need dynamic linking. I need true dynamic linking. Not what those cowards at the lack of memory leaks university want you to believe. So what we need this to be is we need this to be a function pointer. So int test int and remove this. There we go. And my goodness, I compiled. Oh wow. I got the sec fault. Oh, I am having so much fun already. Okay, good. Someone time me. Hour 6 minutes. Quickest sec fault of the stream. Oh, I am having so much fun. Hold on, I need to set up a render. Can I make it tricky? What happened? I'm just a couple of guy having fun. Oh. I wonder if it was gonna play the sound.
You are a couple of people, yes.
Yeah. Wait, what's next here? I did render this, good. Which means that next animation we want from this is 5 and 1, which means we need to set the values correctly. So right here, not switch, index switch. Yes, that's what we want. We want an index switch, but more specifically, we want an index switch into which we rather, well, manually input it. You need to sim to get the actual function pointer. I know, I'll check, give me a second. I need to set up the animation first. Nah, fuck it, I'll set them in a second. However, I will not use an example because that's gross. H modules, this way, fun handle. So now I do H modules and then DL sim like this. Gotcha. library to load being the function handle. Oh, that makes sense. I prefer to use my own code because I'm vain. But I'm glad I can get the sequel though. And then right here as a type, it needs to be this. Init I. Right. If only here at the example on the man page. I'm specifically not gonna read the example on the man page just to spite you all, because you cowards need a man page. I rely on the knowledge of my elders. Hi, the center, welcome. Module init, so like this, library to load being the fun handle, which is the H modules hlib, okay. Man page was written by elders though. Yeah, but not my elders. This was written by my elders, and I shall trust them with my life. DLSim opens it, you give it... Okay, so this should be, if I'm not mistaken, test. No wait, test htest. Htest, and you will init I. Okay, so that's the, what's the music playing in the background? Jazz. It's just that I just know the type. I don't know the name. And then init I, that's kind of seems a bit shady to me. Sounds like something I defined somewhere, which I'm guessing would be in the H, right? Would be the header. That would make sense, which is usually a bad sign because my code doesn't. Void pointer init I. Yeah, you see. Okay. DLL defines the H? Because this should be the input, right? I stands for... Why am I asking you? This is my code. This it won't make sense. Should be just in like the type you're assigning to. Should be. I am just curious on how is this a define? It must be. DLL defines. Oh my goodness, it is. I just didn't notice it because I forgot that the names are at the end of typedef. Holy crap, that's clever. That is really clever. I like that a lot. That's good. I like that a lot. That's because, and that way we push it as a single struct. That is genius. Okay. Run. Htest undeclared. Yeah, that makes sense. Void pointer. Just trust me on this. Close enough. Incompatible pointer types. Yeah, because I'm... Yeah, there we go. For a second I got confused because I was looking at the wrong line. There we go. Got there in the end. Yes! Yes! Oh, it ran. We got the value. We got the segfault as well, but I mean, we got the value. Close enough. Obviously we got the segfault because we're DL closing the wrong thing. There we go. See? It's fine. Wow, that's good. Oh, I like this so much. I cannot stress enough how much I like this part of coding, and it's been years since I've done it. He is not handling errors. What has the vote came to? Handling errors is for people who expect errors. if your code has errors, fix them instead of handling them. My goodness. I am that guy. Alright, so we've got this. We basically got everything we need. That is everything we need. So true, bestie. Now, the only... now what we want to do is, in the main, we would like a single function for opening it. Then, statically linked to it will be... our library, for our linking library. And then the shared objects will have nothing. The only difference will be that the standard we'll have is that every single shared object will have an info. It will have an init and an info. Info will let the main file know what kind of functions are on the inside, whilst init will initialize all the functions if required. Yes. Actually, no, the only setup we'll need is... yeah, 3 functions. Info, init, and exit. Those are the 3 functions we'll need. That's because everything else I would rather leave up to the implementation. Right. So here's how it will work. We'll have void pointer info, which takes in nothing. And for now return a 0, because I'm a chaotic evil. Then second will be void... no, second will be unsigned long init. That's because we will actually have error handling. This is when you do 3 longs in a type. Wait, what? I've never seen that error. I'm curious now. Hold on. Does it compile? It does. Long. Will it say that it's too long or something? It's too long for GCC. That's hilarious. I like that one. Okay. We'll have the init, and then we'll have the exit. Those will be the 3 functions we can always expect, and that's what we will always need between programs. Everything else, so then we'll have like an additional one, something like unsigned long iml, which takes in long, actually not unsigned long a, long b, which returns a times b, and then we will also have double dmul or fmul, consistency-ish, which will be double a double b return a times b. And our goal for today is basically here, well, not for today, this is, I don't know, I'll actually finish today, but here's the idea. We have these 3 functions which we know exist. We have any amount of functions which we don't know if they even exist, we don't know anything about them. Our goal is to be able to access any of these functions, no matter what they are, just by using these functions. Which, to be fair, it will be just by using this function, but the init and exit I'm still adding there for convenience's sake. If our program... Another thing is that if our program allocates anything, then it would need to be cleared later on, for which we could implement our own kind of del queue, but that's a project for another time. For now, we're just dealing with this. Make it put that in video as a joke somehow. The long. No, I would rather put it in the video. I feel like this is a comical thing to add to the video where I'm like, and there we go, it works. We got a seg fault, but it works. It's funny. Okay. Okay. The current version is in random, so I give anything to see any error. Yeah. Why are you not using standard int? What even is that? Ew, what is standard int? The 64T. You mean tell me that I need to include a whole ass header just to have a different name for it? You. Yuck. You all are gross. Wait, no. Still working on it. Give me a second. So here's the idea. I don't think I should go too crazy. I don't think I should actually create some kind of internal way for the compiler to automatically add in all of the functions. Instead, here's what we're gonna do. Wait, can I... Oh wait, which way does it go? Man, it's been a really long time since I've coded in C. Char pointer, that will be... It's been a really long time since I've coded in C. There we go. And I think it was this way, if I remember correctly. I might not. The question is, will you let me? If you will let me, that's probably a good sign. Nope. Ah, there was a way to... There was a way to automatically... Wait, that won't even work for me anyway. What I need is a constant char pointer that has a certain size. Func size.
I'm gonna get myself some coffee if you again happen to leave in the 5 minutes when I'm gone. Yeah, don't go too far because I'm gonna need you after that. I'll be right back.
It would be pretty funny if I ended the stream right now, wouldn't it?
No.
Make it... You could just switch the stream over to one of your alts.
What do you mean?
You have a few alt YouTube accounts. So you'll still be streaming, but you won't be streaming where Postodon expect it.
Ah, that would take it some time to actually set up the stream over there.
Okay.
How do you... when you have a pointer, how do you set it up where you predefine an array? So like this. Wait, would it work with? No, it wouldn't. Yes, it would. The full I've been, imall, fmall. Now, the pickles are just beginning for us. That's because the things we will need to know basically are, for each function, we'll need to know. It's gonna be quite annoying, quite really fucking annoying, because of types. Right. You know what? I'm just gonna leave any kind of structs, and I'm just gonna leave them as void pointers. Did the render just finish? I think it might have been it. Oh, why didn't we get the kazoo sound that I loaded in? Hold on. What happened to my kazoo sound? Oh, wait, where is it? Where you at? Render chime. I want my kazoo sound. This is crucial. It's non-negotiable. Okay, you have the kazoo sound. Good. Now, right, I didn't animate anything because I got sidetracked. What we want to happen here is we want all the bytes to get set to 0. Except all of them to get set to 0, except wait, why are these still black? Hold on. Shouldn't this have kicked in? I think I messed up. Did I switch to a different white? I did. Okay, good. That's... Damn it! Make it! Ah, right. Let me see. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could fix it in post. I'm gonna fix it in post. I'm just gonna fix it in post. The number and the result are also invisible. That's why, and that's kids, why you should always pay attention before doing anything. So we also need some kind of support under the number, under the result, which could be easy enough if we just do bounding box right here. They select all the digits, lovely. Now if we pop this in right here with realize instances behind it, like so, twice, like this. Then if we join geometry on both of them, and if we drop them down a bit, so negative 0.01 or 0.3, and then scale it a bit on the X and Y, like so. I hope they scale individually, that would make this so much easier. No, they don't, of course they don't. It looks a bit gross, but just a bit. This looks better. Alright. And also we need to set up the assembly animation. Which, to be fair, this one should be much easier because this one I can just read the code and just literally animate what it does. And actually right here we... Setting up geometry nodes for this would be ever so slightly quicker because I could just render all of it. That's not exactly incorrect. Oh, shucks. Yeah. Goodbye. Bye bye, oh bye. Have a good one. Setting your geometry nodes for this would be easier. Well, quicker, not easier. And here's how we would do it. We could do it by doing index switch with geometry, where we plug in each one as geometry. Each and every single one of those is a separate line, basically. And then, did I do it in order correctly? I suppose I did. Okay, good. And then this into bounding box. Like so. Now if we take our output, plug this in, then they're on the same position. That's great. Okay, good. No, it's good. It's good. Good stuff. That's because we only move them on this step. This is awful. Or is it? If we keep the capture attributes, it could be not quite so awful.
Wait, you're still going? You didn't end the stream.
Yeah, not yet, but don't push me. Isn't fitting in, of course it isn't fitting in.
It wouldn't be funny right now, so you wouldn't do it.
Don't push me. Scale, no, not scale elements. Set position. Right, if we do this instead. Haha, of course. Of course. Well, to be fair, we don't need to capture the line attributes. I'm a bloody idiot. That's because we could just have an integer going in, and we can have just integer going out, like this. My goodness. To be fair, that they're all a bit lower, but once again, that's easily fixable by just moving them a bit higher up, like so. Now, if we scale elements ever so slightly, like this, then what we get is we get a bounding box that will always completely wrap around every single line. And the reason why it's convenient is because this would let us to automatically switch between those. Okay. I'm fine. It requires just a bit of mental effort, nothing too crazy. like this, then we want, what we actually want is not any of those, mind you. We want them to be backwards. That's because we want to get the bounding box dimensions, not the bounding box itself. Right. That's because right here, this is what we actually care about. Now what we want is a cube, where we will move that cube to perfectly overlap with our cube. How are we gonna do it? Well, first scale elements with the center being -1, -1, -1. Okay, -0.5. Slight miscalculation, this happens. Okay, I take it back. Where the fuck is the center? Side length along each axis. Because, I mean, I could... Alright then, I guess not scale elements. I guess it will be a transform. And just vector. And then... we need to scale this by the difference between them. There. How are you still saying after using Blender nodes? Who says I am? Transform by getting the middle point, which means we add them together this time and we divide by not 0, only 2. My goodness, I am fucking amazing! You are all welcome for me allowing you to witness my glory. That's because now what we can do is we can do the awesome thing, which is... well, to be fair, it's a set of 2 vectors, which is kind of gross, but that's kind of easy. Mix vector. Make group. Now we don't want 4 of them, mind you, only 2 of them. Wait, no, we do want 4 of them. What am I talking about? Yes. 4 of them. This goes into both, and then these go in right here. And then all we do is we select the exact same thing. Value, floor it, subtract the floor from the value. The floor goes into the index switch, and then we want the same exact index switch higher up, like this. This is the floor. This is the floor plus 1. And then the difference in floor is what we get from the mix. Which means now all we do is we just copy this thing. This bottom one will take the bottom value. This top one will take the top value, top geometry, everything going in. Minimum to maximum. Then we take this, we plug it into our cube's output. We know. Right here it is the minimum at the bottom. I really should have named those. The top one is the minimum, which means minimum at the bottom. Right here, it doesn't matter. Maximum at the top. And then that we have this, now if we move our value, almost, if not for the fact it's going backwards. And the reason why it's going backwards is because we got these two connected backwards. Which means that if we move these ones lower, move these ones higher, then I am incredible. Okay. That's because right here, I am... I want to say a Soviet song called Erika. Unsure if you know. I do not know that song. Why do people call it Nazi song? Oh, it's a German... It's not actually a... Well, I mean, I get what you mean, but at the same time, saying it's not a Nazi song, it's a bit pushing it. German marching song written in Nazi Germany. Bit pushing it to say it's not a Nazi song. What is the point of the meme? What is the punchline? That's how I evaluate. If you're not endorsing something horrible, it's a soldier juggling. Why the song then? Just go for it, I guess. Why that kind of song choice? Any other song. Why that song choice for that kind of meme? Not needed. Because Erika bass boosted slaps. No, it doesn't. It sucks. It's like the circus theme. That was also a marching song. Is that not like the definition of a Nazi song if it's made in Nazi Germany? Well, that's what I'm saying, right? It is a Nazi song. It's just that I'm saying that I get what Weston meant by saying that it's not, because it has no, the words have no, but it is very much a Nazi song. Made before Nazis was written in Nazi Germany. Germanway.com. No, that's... The thing is, as much as I get what you mean, I think the simplest solution would be to just not do it. Alright, like the cost benefits here, alright? Let's think about cost benefits. Even if you're arguing that the costs aren't as bad, the benefits aren't that great either. So you bought 5060, right? Why not RX 7700 XT? It's because my last computer was breaking, and I believe that the reason why it was breaking is because I built it. So this time I just didn't want to build a machine, and this was the best computer with the CPU that I wanted. Because German stereotypes suck. I can't see how that helps. I think Germans being efficient is a funny stereotype. I don't like people referencing World War II, you know, personally, too much. Mainly because it requires a certain degree of seriousness that you cannot really have on the internet. And as such, lightly referencing World War II is something that makes me deeply uncomfortable. Okay. This is our line then. If people will get used to not all Germans back in 1930s were Nazis, that's good. Okay, nothing in life is simple. Because on one hand, that is how the meme could be perceived. Yeah, like de-radicalizing or whatever. However, at the same time, it could be seen as endorsement and casual references to the Nazis. Everything has a cost. Nazis were efficient at rebuffing. Nazis weren't efficient. They sucked. When I say that efficiency as a German stereotype, I mean modern Germans, because it's just funny jokes about modern Germans. Or they like efficiency and so on. You know, it's the same as like how Italians hate when the stereotype of Italians hating when you mess up their food. The same level. Every country in Europe has like the thing that they're known for. French people are known for being absolutely horrid barely human beings. British people are famous for not being real. Everyone has something. Okay, now if we set the alpha to be fully visible at the end, not visible in the beginning. There we go, and then all we need to do is just move the cube accordingly, doing the opposite. I forgot to move this cube, whoops. From a 2 to a 3. Just because you joke about something doesn't mean you endorse it. Yeah, just because you joke about something doesn't mean you endorse it. However, just because you joke about something, it does mean that your joke could be interpreted as an endorsement. What you have to realize is that the intention of the author is not always carried over. It's kind of a big problem. And the reason why it's a big problem is because people can make light-hearted jokes about serious topics, but you need to understand the weight your jokes carry. You mean to tell me that you think it's impossible for someone to understand a passive joke about the Nazis as endorsement of the Nazis? You see, that's the problem. As I mentioned, it's really sticky. It's really icky. It's really problematic. Of non-direct, they're more likely to be a criminal. Honestly. Yeah, I know stereotypes. That's why I mentioned. That's why I prefer to sticking to funny stereotypes, like insulting the French for absolutely no fucking reason.
I talked to Reblox yesterday for like 5 hours and I collected a lot of reasons to insult the French.
Good, I'm glad you're doing your research. That's good. That's good. This is the most important field of study at Make It University. Reasons for why French should not be considered human. I will begin my TED talk by... Okay, offensive joke, but you always allow the other forms of offensive jokes, even when others find uncomfortable and offensive. And you said the intention is what matters. The intention matters, but at the same time, the reception matters. So, give me an example of an offensive joke that I've allowed like in the past. Because that would help. So, because if someone makes an offensive joke that's just dark humor, then there is a point of absurd when no one will take it seriously. And in that case, all that matters is intent. Because the effect of the joke is irrelevant, it goes to the point of absurd where no one will take it seriously. For example, if arguing, it's a bit of a cliche, right? But arguing that poor people should eat their children, for example, a modest proposal, if that's what you want to call it. This goes to the point of absurd where no harm, I believe, would come from that kind of joke. What? You're not familiar with the modest proposal? You kids these days really need to... Honestly, I'm gonna leave it on the screen as I talk so that anyone can... The perfect jokes are back then as long as it's done ironically. Did I now? Are you talking about Cole's debate podium? Because that's a whole different story. Because Cole's debate podium is not about jokes. And then you kids, how old are you? I don't remember. I was young when I was one. I don't remember. Isn't that why Feeble left? Oh my goodness. Okay, so here's the thing. Let's separate the jokes from the seriousness for a second. The whole point why I felt fine allowing, because what you are talking about is the Cole's debate podium. And the whole point there is that on the Cole's debate podium, I wanted to leave the topics of conversations as open as possible, because I believed that I would rather have someone, let's pick an easy topic, so someone who's just like hateful. I would rather have them come to the server and change their mind than get banned right away. That's because I believe that it's better if people change their mind rather than if we just remove a group of people from the server. So for example, if someone joins the server and is racist, I would rather have them openly discuss it, find opposition, change their mind, rather than have them banned and then have them be radicalized. I feel like as someone who's, ahead of a community, my actions of just banning people right away would have a direct negative impact on society. It's maybe a minor impact, but it would be very negative. Why don't so you don't allow nice jokes in memes, but allow it in calls? I don't allow, because calls is not meant to be jokes. Here's the thing. If someone, this is the problematic double-edged sword. Imagine that you have a racist, alright? They join in on the server. Anything they say in an argument, I will take seriously, and I will try to rebut it. I will try to explain to them what actually happens. However, when someone says it as a joke, that's way more difficult to dissect. It's there is like this I don't remember who the author was, but there's like part of analysis of the fascist ideology was about how fascists argue, and fascists don't argue for the sake of finding the truth, only for the sake of like mocking the other side, mainly by proposing their ideas as jokes. That's because anyone who wants to believe in something will take a joke at face value. And whenever they're met with opposition, they can just say, oh yeah, that's just a joke. And that's why it's more dangerous. I say I didn't make another joke. I'm not saying you did. I'm just trying to explain the reasoning there. in calls, it's not meant to be jokes. If someone sends so here's the problem. Imagine that you have a racist who joins on the server and, I don't know, wants to say that a big group of people in Europe wants to say that Dutch people are naturally inferior. They just have... Their bodies are just so tall that they don't have enough... they just don't have enough mass for the brain or whatever. Something like that. If they say it as an honest argument, then you can go against that, right? You can argue, you can send them some science articles, you can ask them for sources, so on and so forth. However, if they say it as a joke, that's a bit hypocritical. You may not find other offensive jokes as offensive, but Nazi jokes very comfortable for you. But same kind of jokes can be said for jokes about children for feeble. Where did you get the whole pedophilia jokes from? Where did you get that? The thing is, I feel like you're inventing an example and then pretending that I support it. I don't know where you got that from. As I mentioned, the reason why calls exist is because in my opinion, I would prefer for people who are hateful and so on and so forth to change their mind rather than become alienated. Said for feeble. I don't know if you remember it. Yeah, I remember arguing with feeble and I remember explaining exactly the topic. I just don't know where you got the idea that I was talking about jokes. Because if someone sends a joke supporting pedophilia, I will still remove it. Content moderation for the fun topic to talk about. No, I'm sorry, Eti, for not reading your Das BS. That just had to pick something. We described as Trump's campaign. Please do elaborate on that. Okay, I feel like it's about time I can turn off the modest proposal. How do you all not know about the modest proposal? I thought that was a very common thing to reference.
I didn't know about it either.
You kids these days. What do they teach you in schools?
Nothing. I live in Hungary.
The chime works, it just doesn't work with a kazoo. That upsets me.
The word kazoo after the serious topics just got me off guard.
I took world history and forgot 99% of it. I probably learned it. Modest proposal is like the first ever example of of irony taken to this kind of extreme. That's what it's used for. Basically, when it comes to explaining irony and then taking an extreme in a joke, then the modest proposal is a very common point of reference. Ridiculing of people, the backtracking and ignoring of the judge. What do you mean? Wait, but which part?
I think they mean when you were arguing, explaining how fascists campaign.
I think too, but I don't. Hold on. By the way, let me find it just to show that I'm not making up bullshit. I think it's this. I have no clue. Hold on, let me cherry pick my data. There we go. Fascists know how to turn their mockery into power. Satirists who mean to cut down fascists can end up boosting their ideas. Is that it? Karl Marx. Holy shit, what an opening. Yeah, of course, putting existing. Only anything's being allowed there. Is allowed. Anything is allowed there back then. You're nothing otherwise. Either you change your mind. Okay, what do you think is allowed? Because yeah, first of all, I did change my mind because I think that back then I might have gone too extreme. If someone is posting midget porn, even in Cole's podium, I'm still gonna ban them. It will be the second time that happened. But so I did change my mind. However, I dropped my free print. However, I still stand by the core idea. If someone is a racist, I would rather have them go to the Cole's podium and then have an honest argument about it and change their mind. If someone has Nazi beliefs, I would rather have them go to the Cole's podium and change their mind. Okay, I still stand by the core idea. I still think that people should. I think it's better if people change their mind. I stand by it. But I don't know where you get the idea that in Cole's it's jokes, because it's not meant to be. The whole point is that in Cole's it's meant to be, you know, taken seriously. I mean, you were wrong back then. Anything's not a good idea because the call back then some posts can harm others genuinely. No, as I mentioned, the core idea stays the same. I feel like I just, in the hypothetical examples I got carried away. But I still believe that should stand. If I got a nickel for every time it happened, I would have 2 nickels, which is the match for a stranger that happened twice. Would you allow a view arguing in support of Nazis in calls? Yes, because that's the point. The point is to actually challenge it. Or would you ban it because it makes you uncomfortable? I would allow it. If it's meant to be an honest argument, then yeah, I would allow it. There are plenty of people who piss me off by arguing for autocratic governments, which is Well, kind of coming close to fascism. Okay, so it's only for jokes, fair enough. It's also not only for jokes. As I mentioned, content moderation is sticky. Alright? When it comes to the difference between honest arguments and jokes is that honest arguments can be honestly challenged. Jokes cannot. Jokes being left open to the interpretation too much makes them a really, really, really powerful tool for a dishonest argument. That's because if your argument resonates with people, it doesn't require defense. If it doesn't resonate with people, then you can just say that you don't need to defend it because it's a joke. It's basically a way to gamble. If you win, then your dishonest argument gets support. If you lose nothing. And that's the difference. If someone makes a joke by saying that, okay, so if someone honestly says that, once again, Dutch people are inferior, genetically inferior, that can be challenged. You can challenge it with medicine. You can challenge it with science. However, if someone makes that kind of joke, then if you don't challenge it, it could resonate with some people. If you do challenge it, they'll just say it's a joke and just move on. Why are you just spending so much time picking away comedy? And that's like the tricky aspect of it. Because there are obviously absurd jokes that would be that are funny because how absurd they are. So I cannot draw a hard line anywhere. That's the point. That's why I don't know if you noticed, but I didn't say Westin that I would ban them if they posted a joke. I just said that I'd rather they didn't because it's right on the edge. That's the problem. Content moderation is fucking difficult. I hate it. I hate the fact that I need to do it because otherwise it'd just be irresponsible of me. So when genuinely believes lives of people of other nationality doesn't matter to them, you wouldn't be able to change their mind in calls. But now allow the argument itself in calls. You think that I wouldn't be able to change their mind, which I don't like, because that is you assuming the worst about that kind of person. I don't like assuming the worst about people. I prefer assuming the best.
I mean, my mind has been changed multiple times during my life. Like, I was raised by an extremely homophobic family, and I used to hold those views, and then people set me down and changed my mind, and now I'm an ally to the community.
Exactly. A pretty strong ally, may I mention. The thing is, I feel like the problem there, and this is really annoying. The entire topic is annoying. So I am not talking as a normal, ordinary person. I am talking specifically as my responsibilities as a head of a community. When you have people who are homophobic, for example, right? Then there is this kind of urge to hate them. There is this urge to hate homophobic people, and as such push them away. However, this creates a kind of bias where no one honestly tries to change the mind of homophobic people because no one likes them as an ally, right? Which creates this kind of self-fulfilling prophecy of, oh yeah, the minds of homophobic people can't be changed. I cannot in good faith just accept that because that would be irresponsible of me. Someone genuinely believes such, their whole axioms are different. Only way you can change them by appeal to their emotion. Rational argument won't help there. Okay, however, do you have a source for that? Because the thing is, I've done it in the past. I had people who were homophobic, transphobic, and racist, and I've changed their mind. You claim that it's not possible. You claim that it's impossible for some people at least. I haven't seen that yet. And even if it's impossible for some people, I would still rather try. I disagree, so.
I'm a living proof that it is possible. Like, I took a 180 in ninth grade on this topic. Like, I'm living proof that it is possible. I used to be extremely hateful, and now I have a rainbow flag in my profile picture.
Yeah, exactly. and then you get really upset that people think you're gay when they point it out. Just because something may seem difficult doesn't mean I'm gonna give up trying on it. And trust me, I would like to stop trying. It's fucking annoying. The thing is that at the core, we have no rational reason to justify doing anything, only emotional ones. At core, our values are purely based on emotions. Well, yeah, if you want to take it to the extreme, that's true. But if you want to take this to the extreme, would you like me to right now ban you simply because you're on the other side of the argument? Hey, I don't need a rational reason to ban you. I just need an emotional one. Right now you're on the other side of the argument, which is mildly upsetting me. Would you like me to ban you? Well, if you're going to the extreme, then that would be the reasonable course of action. But at the end of the day, it's not that simple, is it? Well, you can warn me to... But why not ban? Why wait and warn when I can just ban right away? Wouldn't that be easier? You're assuming that the goals that people have in life, the emotional goals, are really simple and distilled when they're not. For example, people like to be rational. People like to be rational, which means at least the optics of being rational gives good emotions to people. The emotional choice is to try to be rational. That's why people go so far in arguments, trying to appeal to rationale before actually you know, accepting emotional or whatever. Yeet him. I'm getting the ban hammer ready. People like to believe they are being rational. That is what I said. That's why I said at least the optics. That is what I said. However, there is a point where if the belief of rationale is challenged enough, then, you know, we'll have to give up on it. The thing is, right now I am trying to change your mind. Would you rather live in a world where I just ban you outright instead of changing your mind? You can only change someone's mind if you share the same axioms with them. Oh, perfectly same? Or roughly the same? Where do we draw the line? I, for example, personally have changed Timon's mind, and we don't share perfectly the same axioms. So, roughly. Okay, but define roughly then, because if you want me to exclude a certain group of people, then I would rather you provide me a pretty solid definition for where I should stop excluding. So go on, what do we give a pass for changing someone else's mind? Right here we have a spectrum, right? On one side we have the hateful arguments, on the other side we have something simple like, which color is what science? Where do I draw the line in between them? Or is it that you cannot give me a line? Because in reality it's not that simple. You can never convince someone to not care about anything other than themselves using reason alone. Have you heard of people giving up their lives for stuff? That happens. That's because some people value other things more than their life. Like, you can make the argument, well, I don't think you can only make the argument, I feel like that's reasonable to even say that they're doing it for a selfish reason of wanting to feel good, but that doesn't change anything. You are oversimplifying it to the point where you're omitting too much complexity. Allow me to give you an analogy that could possibly explain it pretty well. Basically, here's the idea, here's the thing. Much I am a hypocrite and I care about my own pleasure. How would you convince me to not manipulate others for my benefit in a debate? You can't. Our axioms are different. Yes, now imagine I am an alien who has no human emotions and just want to kill off humanity. How would you convince me? Well, you wouldn't be able to. If you want me to accept your argument that if I was arguing with a hypocrite that only cares about their own pleasure, first show me a person who's a perfect hypocrite who cares only about their own pleasure. Because I have proof of, well, not really proof, I would need to dig up Discord, which I am too lazy to do, but I know on my own that you can change the mind of hateful people. It's a bit extreme, but it shows you my point. Yeah, however, as I mentioned, I have proof of me changing the mind of hateful people. You've yet to show me yours. All you have is hypotheticals, all you have is thought experiments, all you have is something that could be right. I bet they had some... Yeah, you bet, you guess, correct. You are guessing right now. That's a fair guess. However, it is still a guess at the end of the day. You know what you're doing? You're doing... the big reason why I dislike the word philosophy is because it has become meaningless nowadays. And I like to divide it into 3 different categories. And what you are doing right now is you're doing category number 2 of what people consider to be philosophy, which is science without the scientific method. So basically, I myself am a person who loves science. I really often call myself a science cultist. Scientific method. You, in your reasoning, where's the graph? There we go. You have, you observed an observation, you've created the hypothesis, and that's where you finished off. You didn't move anywhere forward. I myself have my own observation, which is that you can change mind of at least most people. I had the hypothesis, I guess that would be the hypothesis there. Observation would be that people can change their mind. Then my test of experiments would be the fact that I tried changing minds of people, and analyzing the data would be the fact that I've managed to do it. Reporting conclusions is right now me telling you about it. You, however, and that hypothesis, we both lack evidence. No, I don't. I do not. I actually do not. On the very Discord server, I've managed to do it. That's what I've been telling you this entire time. Time in here, if you want to do it, add time into the set of my evidence. Add time in as my sample.
Yes, please do.
You could argue that my evidence, that I don't have all that much evidence, that my evidence isn't great. If you want to, you can argue. But you cannot really dispute the fact that I have evidence. What I question from you is that I think you've fallen into a bias where you've never actually tried honestly to change another person's mind. That's because you dislike certain groups of people who you think share axioms that are too far removed from yours, and as such you've never honestly tried changing their mind. Instead you only tried dishonestly because you don't like them, and as such you never actually tried, you never made the attempt. I thought you were against you were trafficking. 720. It's impossible to change anyone's mind. You can succeed many times, like in your case, but the odds are you are more likely to fail than win. Yeah, maybe. So what? You're telling me that I should stop doing it because it's difficult? Yeah, that's surely it's gonna resonate with me. Oh, what happened to the text? Damn it. Since when has the text been gone? Oh, where is it? There it is. No, it's using the wrong transition material. So if you are more likely to fail than win, and if you allow giving people like that a platform, they can spread my ideology by arguing for it. It can cause more harm than good. Not if they need to present an honest argument, because if they need to present an honest argument that's challenged, then people can see both sides, and that's way different. So basically, if they see someone who's arguing for racism, for example, and if they see someone arguing against racism in the same thread, then I think that is much more likely to change mind of people to realize why racism is not a good thing. I went to unplug it, and almost pulled the power cable. Well, power cables aren't that important. Just for power. Okay. I'm gonna fix this in post, so that'll be fine. And then right here, we will change the 3 to a 9. That's because we multiply arrayx by rbx and then jump loop. It may not be harmful, but it's fruitless endeavor based on the odds. So once again, you're going back to arguing that I shouldn't do it because it's difficult. The thing is, I believe that for any reasonable human, racism is less rational than lack of racism. Okay? If you account for scientific evidence, yeah, racism is less rational than lack of racism. It's less scientific. So if you see two sides of the debate, argument for racism, argument against racism, I think there is higher likelihood that people will stand against racism. So to me, the more honest arguments are happening, the better it is. Don't you think that's not the job of you or the community, but that of societal institutions? I do believe it would be. I do believe it is. However, at the same time, just because I think it wouldn't be my job, I cannot ignore the fact that I am responsible. Okay? If you see someone choking on the street, then it would be the job of like medical responders to actually help them. However, if you just pass by doing nothing, you would still be responsible. The larger my community grows, the more of this, the more it will happen, where people with certain hateful ideologies will join in. And then, as I mentioned, if I just react by instinctively banning them right away, then I cannot ignore the fact that this will just alienate those people more. It's kind of hard to pretend that I have a significant stance against the ideology and not the person when I punish the person and reinforce the ideology. Can't think about so cancer bats, so might as well donate here. Change their mind. Most efficient way to would be to become a politician or something along that way. What you are doing isn't efficient. That's because that's not my primary goal. However, as I mentioned, it's kind of hard to sleep at night well knowing that I've still fucked up. Imagine you're walking down the street and you see someone choking, and then you do nothing. Would you then say that, oh, I didn't have to do anything because if I actually wanted to save people's lives, I would just become a doctor? Here's the thing, sometimes in life you get into those positions where it's not really the reason why you're there, but it still happens. So for example, in my case, I don't want to be a YouTuber to be responsible, far from it. However, it's unavoidable that as a YouTuber, I need to be responsible, because the only other option is being irresponsible and harmful. Meaning such a first, for example, you controversy in the future for allowing anything in calls. Yeah, I can. That is a risk, yes. However, humans don't function on binary goals that are this distilled and this easy to point out. It's not my primary goal. There are other goals I care more about, but I still care about this. If I could distill all of my ethics, all of my morals into a single goal and just pursue that, that would make my life much easier. But I can't. I don't think any human can. It's quite a difficult thing to do. See, I told you, it's not that simple. There is no understanding like Mappa, just to care about secondary goal. You don't want to be controversial YouTube in the future, do you? You clearly have a choice. Yeah, I have a choice. But what do you want me to do? You want me to ignore this and then hate myself for it? Is that what you want me to do? C is simple though, that's why we like it. That's precisely why we like it. Okay, so we have this, now mix. Then what we like to do is we'd like to take a greater than, less than, and then plug this in, multiply, and just take it as a single node. I want you to care about your primary goal efficiently, even when it comes to some emotional burdens, but you do realize that emotional burden is a symptom that you are failing at your goal, right? That's how humans function. That's humanity for you. You are assuming that humans have a single goal that can be summarized in a sentence, which is a bold assumption to make. Or at least it can be summarized by a human. Maybe not summarize the sentence, that's a bit far off. Let's just bring 100 compliments to your memes. You have a primary goal, that's not it. I'm saying that it's not my primary goal because what I mean by that is I would rather just be responsible on YouTube, you know? And I tend to be quite often irresponsible on YouTube, that's the fun aspect of my channel. It's not my primary goal because if it was my primary goal, then I would become an activist or a politician. Responsible argument. Well, but I mean, you know, we're talking about what should, right? Ah, I've overdone it. This should be a less than this, more than this. Less than 32. More than 24. Perfection. The primary goal is related to building a channel community. I'm saying the secondary goal is harmful to it. At least it will be very harmful in the future. Happens. When you go to a store and you want to buy something to eat, do you also like look at every single product in the store and consider how it relates to your primary goal versus your secondary goals? Do you think that, I don't know, scientists who research things just focus on the research and completely abolish their family and friends simply because it has their primary goal of doing research? Uh, 24, 31. No, wait, add. Right, add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 4 times 8. Sooner or later, you would have to tighten up the moderation of Discord. Later, you do it more opportunity the future folks to dig up controversies regarding you when you are famous. Curious of you to think that, because, by the way, what kind of controversy are you imagining? What, someone arguing for fascism on my Discord server? Do you think that's something that would bring me down? Because if someone argues for fascism on my server, and if someone in the future points it out, then I'm just gonna be honest. I'm just gonna explain it the exact same way as I explained here. Okay, in this case we're gonna have to have a 5 and a 1. And... oh, shucks. So we won't actually need this. It's quite annoying. We're gonna need the bottom one, and the bottom one we're gonna set as the result, which means that will be a 1. Like this. Leaving go on your server. Many specific was the German made me lead the server quickly, and you have to consider the average age of people in your server. It's a recipe for disaster. Explicit things are posted in general. I literally got a moderator for that. What are my moderators doing then? If those things are still being posted. Okay, I just look at the basic channel. That is not... I may need new moderators. Where is Theo? Where is Theo? I need more moderators. I can't even hate Remco for it. That was just funny. Okay. It's gonna be a mess of mixes, but oh well, happens. The bottom one is the result, which means we set everything to be a 0 unless we compare. Unless the value is equal to whichever one that one is, that should be 8, 16, 32. That's what it should be. Unless it's 32, in which case it should be a 1. Well, that isn't 1, is it? Sorry, 0.1? Well, that's curious, because that's not what should happen. Why isn't this working? 1, 2, 3, 8, 10, 16, 24, 32. It should be. Oh, they're getting mixed. Is that why? Wait, no, right here it should be... Ah, damn it, 23? Is that the problem? Why isn't this byte getting selected? This one is getting selected, that's why. 31. My goodness, I'm an idiot. There we go, that worked. Perfect, so this will allow us to change in between if the result value is updated or not. And then, honestly, with an index switch of index switches, it might have been easier. No, okay. Let's keep going. This. Then, the next thing we'll need is another mix value, which will select whether the second, which is the number, whenever that one is on or off, which means we do this as a factor, this as the input, and this as the output, which means this should, in the same vein, set all these to 0, perfect, except the last one, and this one should be 63. Perfect. And then the last one should be... No, this is correct. Right here. There we go. That should be a 0. Actually, let's be consistent at least a bit. And then the compare, this time not with a 31, only with a 71. And this should be a 5. Perfect. Now as we flick this on, Emperor Things, Persian Ministry of Health is introducing a new program, rope for translation. Rope isn't that bad on its own. What do you mean? Since when is rope inappropriate? Let's have a select here, they will be 0.1, and once again they'll be glowing. Damn it, I didn't keyframe it. That's annoying. There we go, and the number gets set to a 5. Perfect. Initial medicine. Imagine doctor not to worry about medicine because the rope will help. Oh, okay. That's a bit worse. That's a tad bit worse. Okay, well, I feel like that'll be it. I'm rendering 2 animations at the same time, which is a usually good sign. It's time to halt. Getting a bit peckish. Wanna go need something. So I feel like that'll be it for day of 3 hours. Pretty good live stream. Yeah, arguing makes me exhausted. And for now, I suppose that'll be it. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and